Hi everyone, Vladimir is here with our multi-platform game development tutorial. I think it's a significant lesson today because we're actually going to implement the winning conditions, the bonus pickups, and our first prototype is going to be done, finally. As you might have remembered, in our previous lesson, we have implemented the bonuses which are being shown. Let me show you. So we have our character, we have the bonuses on the field, but you see we cannot pick them up. So they're just teasing us. To help fix this, we should address the game's logic movement function. You remember our attempt move, or rather assign player position, where we assign the new position to the player. As soon as we have assigned the position to the player, we want to check whether the field of the player contains the bonus or not. So to do this, since we don't have many bonuses, we can afford to go through the whole list of bonuses, starting from the back and going to the front. It doesn't really make a difference in this case if we go from the start of the list to the end of the list, or from the end to the start. But in case when we remove a lot of bonuses, you want to go from the end of the list, because as soon as you remove something from the list, all the next indexes, they move back by one, right? So we would not want to skip an index in case we were not stopping after the first release. So to make it simpler to use the current bonus, we're going to implement the variable current bonus. We're taking the value of a bonus from the list, and we're checking the coordinates. We're taking field x, and if it's equal to our new position of fx, and we're taking the field y. If it is equal to fy, then we saying that we don't need this bonus. We're informing the bonus pool that we can release the object. We're not destroying it, right? We are sending it for reuse later, and we actually remove it from the active bonus list. And we break the cycle. We found the bonus, we don't need anything else, so we just leave the cycle. Let me show you how it works now. I'm actually very excited right now because, it's something small is starting to shape up. See, we're picking the bonuses, but they're not doing anything. How can we fix this? We need to implement the logic. We need to check what kind of the bonus we have picked. If current bonus, we should get the bonus type and compare it. If the current bonus is, for example, health, we are going to add health. Else, if current bonus is sword, our sword, we're going to damage the enemy. Unfortunately, we don't have functions to heal the player or damage the enemy, so we will have to address this. So let's say add lives function, and for the enemy we'll have take damage function, which will pass the number of lives the player takes or the damage the enemy takes. We don't have any of them, so to do this we put the cursor there, press Alt Enter, and we actually create method add lives for the player. Here's the thing though, we want to heal the damage the player took, but we don't want to overdo it with the lives that player has, so we obviously need to store the maximum amount of lives the player has. It should be final because we're not going to change it, so let's make a variable max lives inside our player class and actually assign the initial lives value to it. The player does not need to go overboard with them. Rename the variable to amount inside our add lives because, for readability purposes. And let's add the amount, and if our lives are greater than max lives, let's actually reduce them, just putting the cap there so that player would not be able to go overboard. And the same thing with the enemy, but in a different direction. we don't want the enemy's lives to go below 0. So same way, put the cursor there, press Alt Enter, and choose create method to take damage. Same with the variable name, rename it to amount, and just reduce the enemy lives by amount. And if the enemy lives are lesser than 0, just set them to 0. Sounds simple enough, right? After that, let us check what's going on. I'm pretty sure we'll be able to, take down the enemy to 0, but, well, what's the point if the game still continues? We will need to interrupt the game flow as soon as the enemy lives reaches 0. We had it done with the player, like when the player's lives are less than 0, then nothing is happening, the logic is not being updated anymore. We can go to logic update part in our game screen class. So in our game screen class we see our update function, and we see that there's a check. If player get lives greater than 0, then logic is updated. Essentially, if player's lives drop below 0, then logic does not update. And we actually need to add another thing. Logic get enemy get lives is greater than 0, then the logic is updated. The same thing needs to be done for our controls, and finally we'll need a way to inform the player somewhat that the game has ended in the victory. So for controls it's quite simple. We have the attempt move function, which, well, moves the player if he can move, if he has enough lives, and the player won't need to move if the enemy is dead. So if our enemy's lives are greater than 0, then we can move. Basically, lots of and conditions out there. And the final thing is we have this defeat written, and we'll also need, the victory conditions. So if logic get enemy, and we take the lives is lesser or equal than 0, then we should draw shadowed victory. At this point, it's a small thing, but you notice that we've just simply copied the code. In the general rule, if you can copy something, make it a separate function. So let's make a function private void show game result, which will, just call this draw shadowed command for now, but it might change later, which will accept the string with the result and will display this result in the middle of the screen. So the only thing we need to do is go back to draw UI function and replace our long function calls with draw display show game result defeat or show game result victory. So this should do it. Let's run the game on the desktop and see how it goes. Okay, you see we have our player, which moves as usual. He can pick the bonuses. He still needs to avoid the red things. Actually, let me get damaged. You see our lives got decreased. And we pick heart, our lives are increased again. And that's how it goes, boys. You see our enemy's lives are falling down, so our enemy is almost dead. Let me get damaged again and pick the hearts. Our enemy is dead, and we have the victory message. So our prototype is done, and well, to show the result to you, I think it's a good idea if we compile it into HTML. So it's actually very simple. We can prepare the web version by simply going to our terminal in our Android Studio and actually writing the Gradle W HTML this command. It will build the game that way, so we will be able to, you know, open it in the browsers. We will be able to upload it, for example, to GameJolt or to your own personal website. The whole kit is there. It takes about 2 minutes, I think, at least on my computer, and after that the game is uploadable. Oh no, actually we're done. See, I'm going to show off what's going on. So you see, in our project folder, HTML, build, this folder, we have this whole pack of files. Index.html basically opens the game. I'll show you the game in the browser. Let me check if it will launch in my Firefox. I'm just opening the index file. See, it's opening. Yeah, okay, it doesn't like to be opened locally. I'll show you on my local server. I'm just going to upload it real fast. Just to show you what's going on in the browser. I'm just going to open it on the local host. That's the thing, you won't be able to open it without server on the local computer, but after that you see it's opening in the browser. It's working perfectly, and yeah, this concludes lesson 12 for our multi-platform game dev tutorial. We've really came far, and you should not stop now. So best of luck to anyone who's watching and anyone who's doing. So see you soon.